the way these one percenters are, these billionaires, how eccentric they are, it wouldn't surprise me just how far they would go. The conspiracy theorists at this point, hey, guys, you're like the writers at Black Mirror now. What can you do now? You literally got nothing. It's sort of like, hey, gotta turn off the shop now. Like, they're in their office, all the conspiracy theories confirmed. They make a sad face. Turn off the light, close the door. That's it. Nothing should surprise us. So, bad cookies, when you ask how many you think are probably on the Epstein files, if they're not in it, they are people who are part of a new network to recreate something that Epstein created. So, again, if we look at, especially with immigration here in this country, especially how you had Democrat slavery and slave hunting as their sulfuric acid, and there's a couple other questions. As soon as I saw the sulfuric acid, I thought, oh, other folks, because we're going to go deep. Jeffrey Epstein.
Francis has time to come tomorrow. Show me how to make it. Jerky class anyone. He will bring you to taste his new jerky recipe from the restaurant. He sends a warm hello. He's working at a restaurant called guys, the restaurant's called Cannibal and Cooks. Wait for it. Beef jerky and steak. Can blank make some jerky? I think we should landscape all around the house to use the water if possible. If the main house is not enough, are there any recorded images of Jeffrey Epstein with beef jerky at all? No, there are no recorded or publicly known images of Jeff Epstein with beef jerky. Who sends beef jerky to a lab for analysis? Wait, what? I was looking for the beef jerky as I knew it was in my suitcase, and I thought that maybe I left it on the beach, only to find a small plastic bag near my dog's bed. I'll email Francis to make us some more, as I need 6 to 8 ounces to send to the lab, and I'll forward to Francis the info to send to the lab directly. Guys, I think something's going on. What's this here? Kershaw, apparently it's his last girlfriend who's active on Twitter right now. Check the mail. Names for hers again. Oh boy. People are saying this is Jeffrey Epstein's last girlfriend. And this is the same name as inside of the files. And her name change hasn't occurred since 2017, before the files released. After years of silence, the truth. Jeffrey was innocent. Really? Like, he just a good boy? He didn't do nothing wrong?
Again, issues with the whole idea of, well, what's going on here. So there's a couple people now talking about the cannibalism allegations. So at least articles are saying that Justice Department records do contain reference of cannibalism and to allegations of ritualistic violence. Okay, so there is some confirmation that the documents, however, do not substantiate the accusations, though. Instead, they largely reflect unverified claims, many of them drawn from a single unsupported account reported years earlier, as well as incidental references that have been misread or stripped of context, including one involving food. Now, I'll say this. The establishment, you are working super fast to try and cover this story up. But remember, there's still, I believe, an additional 3 million files that have not been released. And at least, according to my best knowledge, and I do want to talk about Thomas Massey, he has indicated that either by today or tomorrow, he'll be dropping the names of the people who assaulted the victims, or at least who have caused pain.
Off the beef jerky. And that's from Jeffrey Epstein. Francis has time to come tomorrow. Show me how to make
55-gallon drums of sulfuric acid with fuel and insurance charge to transport. Materials for conductivity probes, placement pH cable, RO plant. Why do you need 55 gallons of sulfuric acid unless you want to dissolve a body? I mean, that's what sulfuric is. Listen, sulfuric acid. Listen. Here's what sulfuric acid can do to clot.
Your Independence Day pala so much in Day.
Here we go. How's everybody doing? Like, do, throw up the nines. Anagas.
Extra long basmati. Purity in our heart, quality in your
Stay
heart.
glued to it.
this lunch, beef jerky. Steve and I are very... People going crazy think they found a code word for human meat? Wait, what? Hope you are feeling better. Did we analyze the jerky? Why didn't we get jerky this week? I also added more to the jerky and ginger lemongrass. Thank you so much. Super cool. Beef jerky, delicious. Jojo is here and we'll walk the jerky over to Jeffrey. We'll walk the jerky over to Jeffrey. Why would jerky walk around? Why would it do that? Delicious lunch, beef jerky. Steve and I are very grateful above all for your friendship. Some of these emails are so wholesome, aren't they? It's too bad they eat kids. A small insulated bag would be fine. I don't remember checking it. No need for crazy amounts of ice. One should do. There is one bag of beef jerky in the fridge. Please get it. Also, Blank has more at her place. Please get it from her as well. I suppose it needs to be in a cold, insulated bag. Just wanted to touch base about jerky. J.E. said he was going to start eating regular food again, so he might be eating less jerky. He said he has 6 bags of it in the downstairs freezer. Why would you freeze jerky? Steve needs a 6 to 8 ounce portion of jerky. I gave you all the jerky we had, and it lasted only half the amount of time it was meant to. I felt like it was more important for you to have the jerky to eat during my time off. My plan is to make a batch before I leave for LSJ, and some of that will go to Steve, and the rest will go to you at LSJ when I arrive. Little St. James Island. And that's what LSJ must be. So logically, that means that they were doing this off of the island. Steve Hansen is sending jerky to your attention overnight. I believe it should be enough to get him through. Jeffrey Epstein is asking to bring him more jerky. I'm flying in on Friday. I will bring jerky. Is there a time I could come say hi and drop off the beef jerky? And that's from Jeffrey Epstein. Francis has time to come tomorrow. Show me how to make it. Jerky class anyone. He will bring you to taste his new jerky recipe from the restaurant. He sends a warm hello. He's working at a restaurant called guys, the restaurant's called Cannibal and Cooks. Wait for it, beef jerky and steak. Can Blank make some jerky? I think we should landscape all around the house to use the water if possible. If the main house is not enough. Are there any recorded images of Jeffrey Epstein with beef jerky at all? No, there are no recorded or publicly known images of Jeffrey Epstein with beef jerky. Who sends beef jerky to a lab for analysis? Wait, what? I was looking for the beef jerky as I knew it was in my suitcase, and I thought that maybe I left it on the beach, only to find a small plastic bag near my dog's bed. I'll email Francis to make us some more, as I need 6 to 8 ounces to send to the lab, and I'll forward to Francis the info to send to the lab directly. Guys, I think something's going on. What's this here? Kershaw, apparently it's his last girlfriend who's active on Twitter right now. Check the mail. Names for hers again. Oh boy, oh boy. People are saying this is Jeffrey Epstein's last girlfriend. And this is the same name as inside of the files, and her name change hasn't occurred since 2017, before the files released. After years of silence, the truth. Jeffrey was innocent. Really? Like, he just a good boy, he didn't do nothing wrong? Trapped by powerful people who silenced him. I was his last confidant, and I have the evidence that they're still hiding. I'm not suicidal, just in case. You'll know the whole truth soon. They sacrificed children to Lucifer. It's an entire cult. Jeffrey got involved in their operation for financial reasons and to obtain Combraprat, but never participated in the rituals. Oh, what is this here? I'll pull this one up and see it. That's crazy. She cooked in the brain? Maybe. She ate the brain? Yeah, maybe she did. Wire transfer request form. A 65-gallon... Guys, 655-gallon sulfuric acid with fuel and insurance charge? They are dissolving bodies. Holy shit! It's not healthy to be in a monogamous relationship. The idea is to build a harem. Oh my god. It's in the official fucking files. Like, this is the justice.gov. It's right there. So this is the guy. I mean, again, is this the same girl that's there with him or not? I don't know. So there's him again. And it's him, I guess, on a plane. It's probably her sister. It could be her sister. You're right about that. I don't even want to look at that. I just realized what that is. It's disgusting. So keep moving down. That's a kid. That's definitely 100% a kid. Like guaranteed, 100%. Bro, like, there's no way that person's over 16. Piglet, no! No, Piggy, not you too! Look at this. Oh my God. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, yeah, all right, let's go. It's a good thing we called her. Really? Like, can you imagine being able to catch her? Oh my God. She's crying. Now, this is my opinion, right? Just start working out. Yeah, exactly. In a Minecraft ad, she's faster than Sonic. She is. And so she didn't do nothing else. And why is a girl just, is there a stream room? Yeah, it's her streaming room. So we're losing free labor. Yeah, think about this, right? Think about how many big rocks she could turn into little rocks.
I have brought together a ton of clips from bank CEOs across the United States and globally talking about how important blockchain technology is going to be to their infrastructure and their clients. This is 100% happening right under our feet, right in front of our eyes. All we have to do is pay attention. This video, once you get through it, you will fully understand how important this technology is and why we are all early to this adoption of this new financial system. If you want to see everything I have in this video, it is all going to be fire. Let's get it.
Our long careers, but it does feel like we're in the midst of a once-in-a-lifetime shift. The architecture of finance, and by that I mean global currencies all the way down to payments, lending, and deposits. It's
This is the CEO of Citibank, if you didn't know.
Unbundling bit by bit, and it's rebundling around a new, largely digital architecture. And this happened in trading over the last few decades, and it was an evolution. But what we're seeing now is more of a revolution, with new architectures supplanting old ones. And the way our industry has operated for decades, it's going to be replaced with new ways. And the scale and the speed required to serve our clients, it's of a completely different magnitude. So here at Citi, where we move over $4 trillion globally each day, where we enable clients to issue payments in 144 different currencies, where we do business in more than 160 different countries and are on the ground in nearly 100 of them, well, we have a deep appreciation for scale and agility. And we're seeing how the world is becoming more global and more local at the same time, and how it's becoming faster and how it's becoming more complex. We're reshaping our firm and our exceptional assets so that we maintain our relevancy and we continue to deliver for clients. Swift, as the community that underpins global flows, must make the same journey. Not just talk about it, but actually accelerate action. Because if traditional payments remain slow and comparatively clunky, as they are today, then it's a huge incentive for others to develop alternative, large-scale global payment systems that could be cheaper and much faster.
Yep.
Already, the convergence between new technology and shadow banking risks derailing years of our progress. There's always been unregulated financial activity, but the new technology has the potential to scale that globally to the detriment of the regulated sector and the clients and the consumers we serve. We simply can't afford the regulated sector to be perceived as technologically deficient to the unregulated sector, and that's why we must relentlessly modernize our regulated financial system through public-private partnerships and through communities that bring our industry together, such as Swift.
All right, let me show you what she's talking about here. What Citi CEO is describing is the plumbing of finance being rebuilt, the legacy stack, which is correspondent banking, batch processing, multi-day settlement, siloed ledgers, fragmented identity and compliance is getting broken into modular services, unbundled, and then recomposed about software native rails and that can move value and data in real time. In practice, banks use to deliver payments, deposits, FX, lending, custody, and compliance in one vertically integrated bundle with customer access at the back end offices processes tightly coupled. Now those functions are being separated into components, API-based onboarding, KYC.
Watch me buy XRP in 14 seconds on Kraken.
The video titled, CEOs Just Confessed, XRP Will Wipe Out Banks? From the channel, Crypto Sensei discusses the ongoing transformation of the global financial system through blockchain technology and digital assets like XRP. Key takeaways from industry leaders. The architecture revolution. The CEO of Citi highlights that the global financial architecture, from currencies to payments and lending, is undergoing a once-in-a-lifetime shift from legacy systems to a digital software-native architecture, 036. Banking consolidation. The CEO of UniCredit predicts that by 2030, there will be fewer banks due to consolidation, and the fact that those who fail to adopt new technologies early enough will be wiped out. Blockchain as the new infrastructure. Infrastructure providers like Ripple, Uphold, Coinbase, and Circle are expected to see massive growth because banks would rather plug into existing infrastructure than build their own, which takes years, 1536. Institutional adoption. The CEO of Coinbase notes that top global banks are now making crypto a #1 priority, viewing it as existential to their survival. 509. The role of XRP in digital assets. Utility and efficiency. Financial institutions are turning to blockchain to move money faster and cheaper than traditional systems like SWIFT 745. Internet of Value, XRP, Stellar Lumens, XLM, and stablecoins like USDC are identified as playing crucial roles in the Internet of Value, specifically in areas like cross-border interbank payments and remittances. 1706. Mainstreaming assets. With the rise of ETFs and digital asset treasuries, assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and Solana are gaining legitimacy as a new institutional asset class, 1806. The speaker emphasizes that while prices may fluctuate, the long-term trend is toward a global recognition of blockchain as the future of finance, with an exponential growth curve expected over the next 12 to 24 months, 811. Video link. Watch here. YouTube video views will be stored in your
tooling, instant messaging, ISO 20022 data, tokenization, ledger tech, liquidity, and FX engine. So this can be upgraded or swapped without rebuilding the whole bank. And then let me just get into more of this.
It comes back to what does a client need? So a client wants to move money around the world instantaneously, 24/7, 365 days a year, safely and without hassle and complexity. And that's what tokenization does. Tokenization digitizes entire markets. And we've been working in really making sure that we can serve that use case from the clients. So I'm really excited about the movement that you can see in payments. I think tokenization best serves the client's use case.
All right, there's the CEO of Citi telling you that blockchain tokenization is the future, and they've been working on it for quite some time. Here's UniCredit CEO on crypto.
For us is, as we get 2030 ready, we think that the competitive landscape is going to change dramatically. You will not have legacy banks on one side, fintech on another side, hyperscalers on another side, but one combined competitive environment. And we need to step up to be able to not only be challenged, but challenge them in return.
Fewer banks or more banks by 2030?
I'm pretty convinced that it will be fewer banks.
Fewer banks because of a consolidation, or just because they'll be wiped out by...
I think it's both. When we look now at the transformation that is occurring through AI, but not only through AI. I think there will be winners and losers, and the dispersion between winners and losers will be much, much greater. Some will consolidate, some will be wiped out.
Exactly. Banks that do not adopt the technology early enough will be wiped out. Here's the CEO of Coinbase.
I met with one of the top 10 global banks in the world yesterday, and the CEO told me, crypto is my number one priority. We view that this is existential. We're all in. We're going to put all...
Why is it existential for them?
Because they're seeing, it's like when the internet came around, you know, and you had Amazon competing with Barnes & Noble, or you had blogs competing with New York Times in print, right?
Yes.
And so anytime, there's always change happening in the world, and you can think of it as an opportunity or you can think of it as a threat and bury your head in the sand and pretend it's not happening. But the reality is that crypto is massive. Like something like 500 million people have used it globally. You know, Bitcoin was the best performing asset class of the last decade. The largest financial institutions of the world are now integrating this. And so at this point, I think it's foolish to pretend that this isn't happening. Yeah. I met with one of the top 10.
The largest financial institutions are integrating this. Now, this was a clip I played yesterday, and it was just jaw-dropping to hear this information.
Как стать таким же успешным, как и вы?
Все просто. Проект «Плата». $20 тысяч в первый же месяц. Олег Тиньков создал проект.
There's a very large bank in America that had us do an education session just a month or two ago for some of their wealth managers in New York City. We had an executive there who's been there for 25 years speak. He said in the last 2 months, the executive team at the bank has gone from 0 to 500 miles an hour on crypto. Mm-hmm. Banks don't go from 0 to 500 miles an hour on anything. I've spoken with a number of CEOs and presidents and a few chairmen of banks. It's all happening right now. 2/3 of all financial institutions will be in crypto in the next 6 months. I think that over half of all fintechs and neobanks will be in crypto. So I think that the whole thing is getting wired up, connected. And that's important for the space because I think regardless of the specifics of what people's aspirations are for crypto, like the general aspiration is that it gets adopted as a mainstream store of value, a mainstream asset class, a new set of rails, and that billions of people use it.
We have been right about crypto the entire time. It did take some time for banks and other companies to start working together to integrate this new technology into our financial system, but it is happening right in front of our eyes, and people are selling their crypto before this big explosion of adoption, which doesn't quite make sense to me. You need to be in this for the long term if you are in the crypto market. And guys, if you are an OG and you've been believing in this the whole time and now you're seeing this in real time, get some support on the content, right? Like this video, leave a comment below. When did you get in crypto? How long have you been holding? Tell me what you guys think about all of these clips, and I got a ton more.
So everybody's beginning to recognize that this is better technology than the technology we've been using to date. It offers big business benefits, saving lots of money. They recognize they can move money for their institutional clients faster, cheaper, and easier than they can using the federal systems that we use in money management, such as the SWIFT system. So you're now at the stage where 9 out of 10 banks are developing blockchain technology. Mm-hmm. 2 out of 3 Fortune 500 companies are developing the technology. Over the next 12 to 24 months, you're going to see all of them begin to deploy. And it's going to be an exponential growth curve that's going to appear to have come out of nowhere. And people are going to be shocked at the speed of adoption and implementation in the marketplace. It's going to be like the Beatles, where they spent 6 years becoming an overnight success.
Oh my God, I love it. I got more, baby. I got more. 6 trillion. UBS Bank CEO just accepted only that crypto is the future of traditional banking.
I do believe that blockchain and that kind of technology is the future for the traditional banking business. So you will see a convergence of that. But we need to pay attention in making sure that at the end of the day, banks are, leave out of trust, and people want to put their assets and their, whatever assets they have in a trusted place. And I would say the new technology still needs to prove itself over the years, and particularly after quantum computing.
Sergio, I want to thank you for coming in and spending.
All right, let's keep it going here. Here's another clip.
Our belief, which I think is shared by the leadership of Hong Kong, is that pretty much all transactions will settle on blockchains eventually, and that all money will be digital. Yep. Think about what that means. A complete rewiring of the financial system.
A complete rewiring of the financial system. Here is the CEO of Uphold saying basically the same thing.
Theoretically, you've got global participation in certain asset classes that wasn't there before. And I think there's a really important generational thing, which is you've got
I emphasize again, it is free to join my community. The stocks I share are also free. The techniques and strategies I teach.
This is the Discord video of the age verification.
Discord's come a long way since its humble beginnings as a Reddit tier, memer, fedora tipping, narwhal baconing at midnight service where every time you fired it up, it'd toss incredibly timeless classics at you, like constructing additional pylons and overloading on memes, watch out for Wumpus, and anytime you... timeless classics at you, like constructing additional pylons and overloading on memes, watch out for Wumpus, and anytime you contacted their support, you were put in touch with Springle, the mystical gnome fairy elf wizard lord.
I didn't even know what Wumpus was. Like, I've used Discord for like 10 years. I had no idea about any of this.
To do nothing to help you with whatever problem you had. Discord has grown a lot since those days. Yeah. It has been a staple in society for the last couple of years. Discord. And just a few hours ago, they put out an announcement about some big upcoming changes to Discord that they may as well have just announced they're shutting down. Like, that would have been more positively received than what we actually got here. This is despicable. Discord has announced...
I don't think that there's going to be the difference is that, like, whenever Skype died because there was a better alternative. I think that Discord, I don't know a better alternative right now than Discord. But because Skype could die, I remember whenever Skype came out and it was the greatest program ever. So there is a world where Discord could end up dying. It's possible. TeamSpeak, I don't think people see that. And Slack, what is this here, Slack? But it sucks. Yeah, I don't think so.
That all accounts will be age restricted by default unless you verify your age via face scan or ID.
Wow.
There's also a lot more terrible things here, but that's by far the biggest. Discord, by the way, is like the least trustworthy place to be giving your data to. Only a couple months ago,
second least, Sony. But yeah.
Had a huge data breach where hackers got tons of data as well as 70,000 fucking government IDs. Giving Discord your biometric data and ID is like giving your paycheck to a polymarket gambling addict. It's just a terrible recipe for disaster.
I was going to win.
Play from John Madden's playbook here.
I voted Epstein was alive.
Book where they're saying that this is actually in order to create a safer experience for teens that use Discord. While obviously Discord has had a history of horrible things that have happened to children that have used their service, this in no way, shape, or form is the actual impetus for why they're implementing these changes to harvest your data.
It's hard to say whether they're harvesting data or not, but I will say that these changes will absolutely reduce the amount of, if you reduce the amount of kids that are on the platform, obviously you're going to have way less grooming. Of course, right? But do you want to have everybody on the internet give up their privacy because a few parents can't keep track of their kids? I don't like that argument. I think that's not fair for everybody else, that everybody has to live with all of this tracking and, rules and everything because parents aren't taking care of their kids. I think that companies can do due diligence and they can take, best practices to try to prevent it from happening. But you can't really make this stuff stop happening unless the parents make the decision themselves. I'm not saying the companies have no responsibility, but I'm saying it's an 80 or 90, 80 or 90% fucking parents and 10 to 20% from the organization.
Also have a mention in that tweet there that they're starting a council for US teens aged 13 to 17 to apply to be a part of this.
Seems stupid.
Board
is retarded.
That's supposed to better help steer Discord in a direction that's safer for children. What do you how does a kid submit a resume? What's your work experience? We need at least 7 years of Nickelodeon internships or something in order to accept you on the Discord.
Do you play Roblox? Oh, you do. Okay, so you understand groomers. Yep, come on. Yep, you're on.
Children's board here. It's a very weird proposal. Now going to their announcement here.
When would users need to verify their age group? Users are only prompted to verify their age group when they attempt to access certain age-restricted content, settings, or features. After completing age assurance, users won't be asked to verify again for future age-restricted actions. A user may be prompted to verify their age group if they attempt to unblur media flagged by our sensitive content filters or attempt to change any of the default sensitivity content filter settings to show sensitive content, turn off message requests, access age-restricted channels and servers, speak in a stage channel, and toggle on age-restricted command settings. Then in bold at the very bottom, importantly, this does not mean everyone will need to confirm their age just to use Discord. Not yet, at least. I'm sure that's
coming, and it's coming for the entire internet. The entire internet will have Real ID in probably 10 years. I would say 15 to 20 for sure. It could be 10.
Right around the corner.
It's happening.
They would catch a big load of fucking hoop on this for all of their users because nobody wants to just be willy-nilly giving all of their
No, it won't. Okay. All right. This is my assumption. This is my guess, right?
Data, their fucking face scan, ID, and everything to Discord of all companies. A company that literally just had a massive data breach, by the way.
Ooh.
Many people use Discord exactly as they do today without ever being asked to confirm their age. Now, here's the default safety settings that if you attempt to alter, you will then most likely be prompted to fork over your data, whether that's an ID or a face scan. So they're calling it teen by default, because the settings establish a clear safety baseline designed with teens in mind, with flexibility for adults to customize their experience. Sure. Adults can always choose to verify their age and change them or leave the setting as is. Unless a user is confirmed to be an adult, these safety settings stay in place and can't be changed. So they're immutable unless you are giving, of course,
Well, you get treated like a kid until you put your ID in. It's pretty fucking simple.
Precious data, which is a currency more valuable than money, which is why every company is scrambling to do everything they can to try and roll out some changes that require you to give them your data.
Well, the other thing, too, is that these companies are scrambling because they don't want to be held accountable by countries for not doing due diligence at protecting kids that are on their platform. You have to keep in mind that this is also, they're also in the crosshairs of the government. And if the government thinks that, oh, well, these people are, not doing enough, they could get fined, somebody could go to jail or something like that. That's one of the reasons why these companies are doing this. And they're being proactive about it, is because they're afraid of having something happen.
They can sell it to other entities. At this point, it's most likely AI-based companies, but it goes all over the place.
Everything is going to be done by an algorithmic AI machine learning tool. It's not like people are going to be making this decision. It's going to be totally done machine learning and AI influenced, right? 100%.
Always has. So then it goes into layout the default settings, such as the content filters, age-gated spaces, message requests, friend request alerts, and stage restrictions. So the wacky new philosophy over there at Discord is everyone's a child unless proven otherwise.
That's right, because they're afraid.
Children by default.
Yes.
It's a pretty interesting strategy. I don't know if this is what Wumpus has been cooking ever since they banished him to the back rooms or what, but fascinating idea.
It's the problem, and the reason why this is happening is because there is a growing demand from the public for the companies on the internet to have higher degrees of accountability and for the internet to be a safer space for young people. I think that this really started to happen in 2015, and it happened more severely in COVID, because now that everybody has evolved on the internet, you're going to need to see, some degree of accountability, right? This isn't 2007 anymore when, anybody can do anything on the internet and it's like a totally different universe, right? Now the internet and real life are intermingled, pretty much completely. So the problem is that whenever you have that happen, you need to have some degree of accountability one way or another. Now, I think this mainly should come from parents, but I don't think that there's a way that you can explain to people that it's an okay or a good thing that children are able to make accounts and message adults on websites like this. Because in a real life situation, I think that everybody would say that's obviously a bad thing, especially whenever there's no vetting process of the adults they're messaging. So the problem, I think, is that if you look at normie common sense logic, I think normie common sense logic is going to lead to the conclusion of everybody needing to have ID in order to use certain different social media websites. I think that's where we're going. And and this is, I don't necessarily think this is a good thing, right? But I do think this is where we're going. And I think also there will be more elements of this that will be, like, for example, like in Britain and other places, like any country with more speech laws will also be using this as a tool to proactively censor speech as well. So it's not just for the kids. And I think actually the kids are like a side effect. That's like a good PR. It's a good PR spin. But the real focus is about, potentially data collection. Maybe it's Discord data collection, maybe it's another company, but then on top of that, surveillance and, basically, avoiding legal liability. When you said it's inevitable, I did. I said it was inevitable, people were mad, and now it's happening here in the United States right now.
Brace yourself, because maybe this is a controversial take. This perhaps could be spicy. Yes. Do you know how you really protect children on Discord?
The parents don't let them get it.
You don't let children on Discord.
That's right.
This is going to tie into something I was just yapping about a couple days ago, and it's something I've said.
But and here's the logic that will, this is the problem. If a kid goes to a strip club, he gets turned away at the door because he's a kid and he doesn't have his ID. If a kid goes to buy alcohol, he doesn't get outsold the alcohol because he doesn't have his ID. I don't think that you can beat that reasoning in the mind of a normie. I don't think you can do it. Well, the nuance of the internet, I don't think is understandable enough for a normal person to be able to hear that and be like, oh, okay, I understand the difference between this. You see what I'm saying?
Numerous times over the years, but we are in an era where parents do not want to be parents. They would much rather just plop their kids in front of an iPad or a computer and let the internet raise their kids for them.
I don't think it's that simple. I think the fact is that, probably all of us here, who here was looking at porn on the computer or on your phone whenever you were a kid? I was 100%. I think that everybody was. So the truth is that, were all of our parents bad always? I don't think so. Because it's like 99% of people were doing this. So are 99% of parents bad? Well, if 99% of parents are bad, then we should plan for parents to be bad rather than imagining a fantasy world that doesn't and will never exist. Realistically, right? You look at this pragmatically. Both of these two things can't exist.
And just let them have completely unmonitored, unfiltered, unlimited access to the cyberspace, the World Wide Web.
That's what we have.
As such, the entire landscape of the internet has shifted to constantly be catering towards children using it, which is extraordinarily different from how it was when I was growing up, where the internet was made for adults and kids had certain special pockets online.
Yeah, like Neopets.
But by and large, the internet was focused on adults using it. Yeah. Whereas now it's just been normalized for parents to turn their kids loose online and let them run wild. So as a result, everything on the internet has changed in order to compensate for that.
Yeah, I think it's also the barrier to entry has become a lot lower. Whenever he and I probably got on the internet, it was probably the mid-2000s, right? Maybe early 2000s, late 2000s, a lot of that. The barrier to entry into the internet was higher then than it is now. I remember back in the day, there were plenty of people who didn't have internet. This was 2003, 2004. A lot of people didn't have it. So now I think that it's just so easy to access. Of course, they're all going to have it.
And make no mistake, Discord making this change, its primary goal isn't to protect kids using their service.
It's to protect Discord. It's to protect Discord from legal liability.
To harvest your data, because
I'm not even convinced that it's harvesting data, but I am convinced that it's protecting them from liability.
Going to be very, very valuable for
I'm not
Discord.
Saying he's wrong. I'm just not sure.
Everyone more and more comfortable with mass surveillance and no privacy turning over your information and data is something that tons of companies are doing everything in their power to do.
It's becoming totally normalized.
Just found it convenient.
I think South Korea is where we're going.
excuse to try and paint it as something good, like protecting kids from bad people on Discord.
Well, and the problem is that they're right. If you require people to have an ID in order to have different interactions on Discord and to go to certain servers that are in SFW, and like, for example, if you required people to have an ID in order to send and receive peer-to-peer messages on Discord, you would cut down on the amount of grooming by like 99%. You would. This would almost totally eliminate the problem. And I think that it's, even though this isn't something that's like in favor of my argument, this is a fact. It's true. Like, there are hacks. Yeah. How many fucking 12-year-olds are hacking Discord so they can talk to adults? Very few. Less than 1%. So it's important. I don't give a fuck about grooming. You can say you don't give a fuck about it. That's fine. But what I'm saying is that there is actual validity in what's being discussed. If you shut all of this down and you don't let people message each other, it becomes infinitely fucking harder to be able to go and groom somebody. It's true. Like, absolutely. But is it worth everybody else losing their privacy because some parents can't deal with their kids? In my opinion, I think no.
This is the easiest way to do a freestyle design. So to start my design, I'm going to start in the middle. This helps me make sure the design doesn't come out too much to the left or the right. And whenever I'm doing designs, I always have my reference in front of me. As y'all can see, I have the book open, the design my client picked. Now when it comes to curves and sharp corners, it's important to only use the corner of your trimmer, making sure you slowly drag it and make it thicker to the areas it needs to be. Now for the final part of the design, it's just line down the middle. Little parts of the design like this will really make your design come to the next level. Now I'm going to apply some shaving gel, and with my razor, I'm going to shave down the outline of the design, making sure I pull that skin back. Now I'm going to apply some barber powder, make the design pop out a little more. Watch how I brought this to life. This design book is a game changer. If you don't have one yet, go click the link in my bio before they sell out.
No, I don't think so.
Now, something else in their announcement is this about a toolkit that's going to be introducing age inference to help determine with high confidence whether a user on the platform is an adult. So from the way they describe it, it seems like it's going to be this tool that's monitoring your activity to find patterns of your
I think what XQC said. I'll talk about that afterwards. Remind me at the end.
And make an estimation of your age based on what you engage in on Discord. Admittedly, I'm a bit confused on exactly what this is, but from the sound of things, it is something that's running in the background.
It's a multiple, like there's probably about probably hundreds of data points that they use, like analysis inferences. Like, for example, the way that a mouse moves, for example, the way that a person types, for example, the way that their messages are structured, the time of day that they're getting on the internet, the time of usage, the way that their spelling is. And they use every single one of these. It's machine learning. And then they create degrees of certainty where it's like, if you're spelling this many words wrong and you're playing Fortnite and you're using that's caps and you're also saying on God and your picture is Skibidi Toilet, I think that you're 12. That's basically what it does. Sure. And you know what? It probably works. It does. Think about it. Like, why did, like, stereotypes are based on reality. And if you overlay a bunch of stereotypes, you can create a predictive profile that is accurate a lot of the time.
That monitors user behavior. So if you're someone that's frequenting tax channels on Discord in order to help with your taxes, it would likely view that behavior as likely an adult using the account. So then it would just internally have you as an adult account, so you wouldn't need to complete an explicit age verification flow, like if I'm understanding this correctly. Again, I'm not entirely sure what...
Every website already has this, and so I'll give another frame of reference for how this works. So whenever a lot of these bot accounts, so every single website has a internal like social credit score of every single account, and this is on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Reddit. I can give other examples, but let's just look at those four. every single one of those accounts or those websites has an internal invisible rating system that detects whether an account is an AI account or not. And one of the ways that the AI accounts get around that detection so they can be seen as human accounts by the algorithm and have their interactions and their, like information be treated the same is by basically wearing the skin of a human. So the way that they do that, have you ever seen on YouTube comment sections where there is one comment that gets a lot of likes and you see that the comment is made by a name with a bunch of numbers and letters, and the picture of that comment, the commenter is like a girl in like a bikini or something like that? That's a bot account. And the reason why is that those bot accounts are programmed to take messages that were really popular, that got a lot of human interactions, and then repost those messages with human interactions, because human interactions lowers the probability score on this AI detection tool of an account being detected as AI, because it's being interacted with by real humans, because there's probably like an internal telemetry system where if there are a bunch of other accounts that are 0% AI that are interacting with an account that might be AI, that further legitimizes that account. And think about this, right? This is common sense that you would do, right? Like if somebody gave you the responsibility, make a tool that detects this, that's what you would do, right? Obviously, that's what you do. It's common sense. So really, that's the reason why it happens that way. That's the entire reason why all this goes down. And these tools happen for AI verification. They happen for spam. They happen for all kinds of things. Like CAPTCHA is another good example. So the reason why CAPTCHA works, and I'll show you this, is that, so basically it's like a picture of like 4 things, right? And it says, pick the one that is purple. Okay? Well, I'm a fucking retard. Give me a second. Pick the one that's purple. And I understand this is a rant. You're going to have to deal with it. The CAPTCHA is not checking necessarily that you clicked purple. But if you go like this, and then you, oops, just a second, and then you click, you just made a perfect curve, and there is no element of human behavior. So they are tracking the individual pixels and the way that your mouse moves. And if your mouse is moving in a way that is automated and electronic, and it doesn't look like the way a human would move a mouse, that's actually what's being detected by the CAPTCHA. It's not necessarily the fact that you clicked on the purple square. You understand that? It's basically like biometric metadata that they evaluate with like different thresholds in real time. That's the way it works. So this is the same thing. The only thing I'm showing this for is to give you other examples of algorithms like this functioning the same way. That's it. It's pretty simple.
That is, to me, it sounds like what YouTube introduced not long ago, where it monitors user usage behavior and will make an estimation of their age based on what they engage in on the platform. So for Discord, it seems like it's doing that too. And if it determines that you're an adult, you might not have to submit your facial scan or government ID. But again, I could be totally wrong. Now here's Discord.
Well, they're probably also going to use things like bank account. So like if you have a credit card attached to the account will probably also, or you've had a credit card transaction on the account will probably also automatically be an adult account. Like they'll use other frames of reference like that too.
Treating its users like dogs, trying to coat this pill in peanut butter to make it easier to swallow. We also offer other assurance methods through our collaboration with trusted, privacy-forward partners, such as...
That's another synonym. What they mean to say is Israel. This is going to go to Israel.
Facial age estimation and ID scan, all designed to minimize data use and maximize user control. There's no way of dressing that up in any way that is actually privacy forward, by the way. We will continue exploring and validating additional age assurance approaches with the goal of expanding options and giving users choices.
Having age verification is a reduction in privacy. This is inevitable. Like there are ways that you can minimize it being a bad impact, but it is a reduction in privacy, and it does open up an entire new vector of problems that could happen.
Yeah, of course.
That works best for them. After completing a chosen method, users will receive confirmation via direct message from our official Discord account. The user's assigned age group can be viewed at any time in My Account settings. Users can also go to My Account settings to appeal by retrying the process. We currently only prompt users to age assure when they are in the Discord app and trying to access age-restricted content or update specific safety settings. We do not send emails or text messages about our age assurance process or results. So then they go into the key privacy protections. On-device processing. Video selfies for facial age estimation never leave a user's device. Quick deletion. Identity documents.
They all say that, by the way. Those ICE apps said the same thing, and then they got all the information anyway.
Submitted to our vendors are quickly deleted, in most cases, immediately after age confirmation. Not in every case, by the way, just most of them, they're like immediately deleted. But usually it's like real quick. Like I'm talking lickety-split. Straightforward verification. In most states, users complete the process once and their Discord experience adapts to their verified age group.
Yes.
Users may be asked to use multiple methods only when more information is needed to assign an age group.
Yeah. Show your Fortnite accounts and your social security number.
A user's age verification status is only available to that user and cannot be seen by others. We're intentional about selecting and working with age assurance partners with strong privacy practices and limit data collection to what's strictly necessary for age assurance. There you have it. That's the big changes coming to Discord around the corner. And don't let Discord deceive you into thinking that this is a change that they're making for a positive reason, like protecting kids that use Discord. That's not actually why they're making this big pivot here at all. It's just in this race that every company on the planet is engaged in to collect as much data as possible and get people as comfortable as
I really think that there's a bigger component than I think Charlie isn't really covering the amount of like legislative expectations that are happening to these companies by expecting them to do more due diligence in order to protect minors on their platform. I think this is happening, like, think about, like, for example, with Roblox. It happened with Facebook. It happened with Snapchat. And so I think they're also being proactive for that. Because I think that you look at the different changes they're making in the UK, et cetera, you can see that very clearly things are trying to move in that direction. And again, you have the unholy alliance between over-controlling Karens, a tyrannical, or at least wannabe tyrannical government that wants to control and monitor your speech on the internet for no other reason than to, create a citizen profile of you. And then on top of that, you have a relatively uneducated, uninformed public about this topic that has no interest in taking accountability for its own children. And between these three groups, what you're going to have is digital ID.
Надоело пахать за копейки и не видеть результата? Плата – это про реальный заработок, где $20 тысяч в месяц уже становятся нормой для пользователей. Мы собрали команду опытных аналитиков и финансистов, которые работают на ваш доход, пока вы отдыхаете. Мой опыт в бизнес-сфере – это гарантия вашей прибыли. Ваш первый взнос всего в $250 – это начало нового этапа в вашей жизни. Плата – это не про лишние слова, а про действия. Поэтому либо вы начинаете сейчас, либо смотрите, как начинают другие. Переходите на сайт и начинайте зарабатывать.
possible with just giving their data willingly. So that way they can just harvest it easily, no hiccups.
Yes.
This is not a good change, and it is not something that anyone should be looking forward to.
No.
Do I think it's actually going to kill Discord?
No.
No. I don't think so.
Skype died not because of privacy, but because Skype died because it turned into garbage. And also Discord was a better service. Like, it was just straight up a better service, period.
A lot of people are saying that this is the end of Discord, and even me with the title RIP Discord, I don't actually think it's going to sink them. I think people are just going to shrug their shoulders and just fork over the data in order to keep using the platform that they've already become accustomed to. I don't believe people ever really have a huge willingness to switch off of things that they become used to. There's endless examples to pull from, even like in gaming. People have set games
I'm not gonna play if they put microtransactions. Well, you know, it's just a battle pass. Well, you don't have to buy it. Well, I'm having fun. You know, like, again, these people, not wrong. Yeah, that's just how it is.
They maybe might tinker around with a new game in the same genre, but typically always go back to the one that they just spent the most time with. And right now, that's Discord. So I don't think that this is going to be,
guys.
You know,
it's not pay to win. It's pay to progress.
Destruction of Discord, even though I think it should be. I just don't think people are actually going to make a switch to something.
I think Charlie's right about this. I think the privacy concerns that people have on the internet are vastly overstated. I don't think that actually most people care about giving up their information. And the problem is that there's such a loud, vocal, super user minority on the internet that cares about it a lot, that I think they don't realize. Think about how many people, when Facebook became a massive thing, just wrote out their address and phone number on Facebook. It was so fucking amazing that Mark Zuckerberg called them fucking retards. He's in his email, he's saying, these fucking morons are just giving me their phone number.
Else in its place because people are just too used to Discord's service at this point. But I guess we'll see. I could be entirely wrong. Skype, for example. Skype, by all definitions, was too big to fail. They were the top dog.
Microsoft solves that.
Until Discord came around and ate their lunch. Discord was a superior service to Skype, and Skype ate shit for it. It never adapted. It never
changed. Keep in mind that Skype killed them.
Just like Bitcoin.
A lot of people moved from
how XRP's about to kill the Bitcoin.
Or TeamSpeak.
It died. So who knows? Maybe I'm entirely wrong, and something will pop up now that Discord is in a really rough spot, lost their footing here. Maybe something else will come and take its place, and people will flock to that instead, so that way they don't have to play ball with these kind of new changes. We'll see. I'm just not super optimistic about that happening, but I'd love to be wrong about it. Anyway, that's really about it. See ya.
Microsoft killed MSN for Skype. Yeah, I mean, I think they totally killed it. I mean, for sure. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's like everybody says, like, oh, I'll never use that. Parental incompetence is no excuse for mass surveillance. It's going to happen. Remember when the number one rule of the internet was never give out your personal information? I remember, bro, like, they used to tell you don't even post photos of yourself on the internet because you never know what people are going to do with that, right? I'll link you guys the video. It's a Charlie video. I agree with what he's saying on this. I think that he's a little bit idealistic about it. And I do think that there's a lot of other, like, legislative factors that are going into play here, especially from countries that have, more robust speech laws. But overall, I do think the core of this is accurate. The difference between the internet and real ID is in real life, I just show the ID and I put it back. On the internet, I have to send it to a random three-party, and a big problem with data leaks, they can sell it to a Chinese rootkit group. I think that you bring up a great point, is that in real life, when you show your ID, it actually does just disappear. But when on the internet, it doesn't really disappear because there's data breaches. I think that's a great point. I've never seen somebody say that before. That's a really good way of looking at it. And remember, Discord tried to add NFTs. They backed off when people canceled Nitro and started spamming media. I mean, NFTs are not the same as this. This is just not the same thing at all. No one gives them your faces. Remain anonymous. Don't let them privatize the internet. Again, like, if you think that Google doesn't know who you are if you have a YouTube account, I think that you're very delusional. Like, if the government or the FBI wants to figure out what you're doing, they're going to figure out what you're doing. That's just how it is. You never scanned your ID into a computer system and enter a club? I never have, because the last time I went to a club was like 2019. I have never done that.
Get a 3% match on your crypto or cash deposits, paid in USDG. Hold it, trade it, stack more. Join and make your deposit.
It strongly condemns Asman's rhetoric. Well, why is he dressed like Fidel Castro? So he's dressed like Mao, Fidel Castro. Who's going to be next? Stalin? He does more cosplay than Imaru.
I understand why Elon Musk, obviously from his position of power, gets away with saying, you know, of course ICE is going to kill whoever the fuck they want to kill, right?
Yeah.
Because that's Elon Musk. Elon Musk is never going to be in this situation. Even Asmongold most likely will never be in this situation.
This situation where I have to run over a police officer? Why would I
Because
ever...
he never leaves his house, right? But Asmongold's audience could just as well have been in this situation.
Yeah, and if one of my viewers decides to try to run over a federal officer in the process of trying to escape from a scene when they're being detained, you know what I'm going to say? Rip bozo. I'm going to say the same thing.
Easily. They could have been in a situation where they're like pro-ICE, for example, but they got scared and they wanted to move out of the way. Right? Where they're pulling out of their fucking...
If you get scared, you accidentally run somebody over. I mean, you can't expect that to
driveway,
be okay.
for example. And they got domed and shot and killed. That's how this works. Okay? You are ascribing evil intent.
Evil intent.
For no real reason in this circumstance, when the true evil that's taking place is literally...
The real evil isn't trying to run over the federal agent. Keep the scene after, by the way, they came out and they said, let me mute the music because it's a little bit loud. They came out and they said that this woman was causing trouble before then. She was blocking roads, doing all of this other shit, and they wanted to get rid of her because she was like the person leading all of this. So really, but let's hear about the real problem is actually ICE. Here we go.
Literally, the evil that's coming from ICE.
There it is.
Even in this...
Wow, who could have predicted this?
...situation, you instantly find yourself trying to justify the murderers.
The murderers, right, of course.
There's something fucking wrong with you. You have...
Why are you getting upset?
No, you have... like the part of your brain.
Do you think that Hassan, if this woman had run over and killed that ICE agent... Do you think that Hassan would be trying to justify why it was okay? I think would be. No, I think he would be. No, he'd be celebrating? Oh, of course.
That causes you to think about your own personal well-being is war. Because you're so predisposed with defending law enforcement every step of the fucking way. You've been so propagandized and so conditioned into thinking that cops are always doing the right thing.
I think they are in this case, right?
You just cannot understand that you could be in the crosshairs next. You just can't comprehend it. Your loved ones could be...
Yeah, I mean, like, you could just be accidentally trying to run over a federal agent. Escaping after you're trying to be detained, after repeatedly trying to block and obstruct the federal investigation. You know, like sometimes like, bro, how did I... Oh shit, this happened again. Oh god. How does this keep...
I wanted to die that time because I lost too much health.
Cop car should be put in a box and round up about 10,000 protesters and put them in a camp to shut it down quick. Literally,
That's what I said.
promoting authoritarian dictatorship.
Authoritarian dictatorship is when people that are breaking the law and being violent and obstructing the federal government from doing their job. Authoritarianism is when they have a consequence for it. That's right. To be fair, W chatter. At least they explained what I think.
Oh, it's so hard. It's just a weak, ineffective, cowardly person who is...
I'm ineffective. If I was ineffective, you wouldn't be crying about me every day.
Who's trying to lean into the administration, the government's fucking repressive methods to make himself and others who are tuning in feel powerful. Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. This is commentary from a deeply insecure, deeply scared person.
I'm insecure. Okay. All right.
Sure. It's weak, it's cowardly, it's frail. This is the motivating principle of fucking Nazis as well, historically.
Of course. How could we forget?
Feeling like they've been wronged by society and hoping that the state actually enacts some